Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there are moments in your life when everything seems to shake, when doors close, people walk away, and the very ground beneath you begins to tremble. But I came to tell you today that shaking is not your downfall. It's the sound of something greater breaking open. When God is about to release something big into your life, the atmosphere begins to shift. The familiar becomes uncomfortable. The ordinary no longer satisfies. What once worked suddenly doesn't. You'll feel a stirring deep within your spirit, a divine restlessness that refuses to let you settle for less than what you were created for. Don't be alarmed when battles intensify, when delays seem endless, or when isolation wraps around you like a cocoon. That's not rejection, it's redirection. God is preparing the stage for your next level, refining your faith, stretching your capacity, and purging what cannot go with you into your destiny. The pressure you feel is proof of the promise that's about to manifest. You're standing on the edge of a divine breakthrough, and every challenge, every tear, every sleepless night is heaven's announcement that something big, something beyond what you can imagine, is on its way. Every great elevation begins with disruption. Before God ushers you into a greater season, He often allows the familiar structures around you to tremble and shift. You start to notice that the things which once felt secure no longer hold the same stability. Relationships begin to change, comfort zones start to crumble, and what used to make sense suddenly doesn't. It feels unsettling, almost as if everything is falling apart. But in truth, it's falling into divine alignment. Disruption is not punishment, it's preparation. It's God's way of removing what cannot sustain the next level of blessing that's coming your way. When He is about to promote you, He disturbs your patterns so you will no longer rely on what is safe, but instead trust what is sacred. This divine shaking often feels uncomfortable because it challenges your attachment to the familiar. The human spirit naturally resists change, but God uses change as a tool of transformation. He will disrupt your plans so His purpose can prevail. You may lose certain opportunities, people may walk away, or unexpected doors may close, but these aren't signs of rejection, they are signs of redirection. God cannot pour new wine into old wineskins, and so He begins the process of breaking what is old to make room for what is new. Every disruption carries within it a divine intention, to shift your attention from where you have been to where you are destined to go. During these times, you may feel pressure, confusion, or uncertainty, but those are indicators of divine activity. The shaking in your life is not random, it's spiritual movement. God is rearranging the environment around you to fit the promise within you. The people, places, and patterns that once defined you are being restructured because your future demands a stronger foundation. This is why, before every promotion, there is always a shaking. Before every victory, there is always a testing. Before every blessing, there is always a breaking. Disruption clears the path for destiny to emerge. When God is preparing to lift you higher, He will not let you remain in comfort. He will challenge your faith, prune your attachments, and provoke your growth. You may not understand it now, but every storm has a strategy. Every closed door hides a greater opening. Every delay conceals divine timing. What feels like loss is often a hidden setup for a greater launch. The discomfort you're feeling is the evidence that you're on the edge of transformation. The divine disruption is heaven's announcement that promotion is near, that God is moving you from one dimension of existence into another, and that your current environment can no longer contain the magnitude of what He is about to release in your life. There are seasons when God pulls you away from the noise, the crowd, and even the people who once surrounded you with comfort. It feels like isolation, but in truth it is consecration. God separates you not to punish you, but to prepare you. When He is about to do something significant in your life, He removes distractions so you can hear His voice clearly. You begin to notice that your circle grows smaller, conversations become quieter, and suddenly, the approval and validation you once sought from others no longer fulfill you. This divine isolation is not emptiness, it's God's classroom. It's the sacred space where He refines your character, strengthens your faith, and aligns your vision with His purpose. In these silent seasons, you may question why certain people left or why the support you depended on disappeared. You might feel abandoned, overlooked, or forgotten, but this is where the unseen work of transformation happens. When God isolates you, He's not removing people, He's revealing purpose. He pulls you away so He can pull something greater out of you. Your spirit begins to awaken to divine realities that can only be heard in stillness. This is where He teaches you to depend on His voice above all others. Isolation develops intimacy, and intimacy births insight. The revelations that shape destiny are not found in the crowd, but in the quiet place where only you and God commune. It's in that solitude where your faith is stretched, your resilience is tested, and your spiritual sensitivity is heightened. You begin to realize that what felt like separation was actually elevation in disguise. God hides you so He can heal you. He conceals you so He can construct the next version of you that the world has not yet seen. Many people mistake isolation for stagnation. But in the kingdom of God, hidden seasons are often the most productive. The roots grow deep before the fruit appears. While you feel unseen, heaven is preparing your unveiling. During these moments, everything that was artificial begins to fall away. You start to discern what is real and what is temporary. You begin to understand that you were never meant to draw strength from popularity, but from purpose. The solitude becomes sacred because it trains your spirit to operate in divine independence. You learn to lean not on external affirmation, but on internal conviction. God uses isolation as a refining fire, burning away everything that cannot handle the weight of your next season. This is the place where clarity is born, where divine strategies are downloaded, and where strength is forged in silence. What once felt like loneliness transforms into holy alignment. The absence of people becomes the presence of purpose, and the stillness that once scared you becomes the sanctuary that shapes you. When the intensity of your opposition begins to rise, it is often the clearest signal that a breakthrough is near. The enemy does not fight what is not threatening, and the greater your purpose, the greater the pressure that surrounds it. You may find yourself suddenly under attack from unexpected directions, emotionally, financially, spiritually, or even within your relationships. The very areas that once seemed stable begin to shake, and you wonder why everything feels like a battle. But every storm has a purpose, and every attack is evidence that something powerful is shifting in the unseen realm. The resistance you feel is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal the strength that God has already placed within you. As you move closer to divine elevation, the spiritual opposition intensifies because the forces of limitation recognize that your next level threatens their influence. The chaos, the confusion, the criticism, it all serves as confirmation that you are carrying something valuable. You will notice that as your vision expands, warfare follows, because destiny always attracts resistance. It is in these moments that your faith is tested and your endurance is refined. The attacks are not random, they are strategic, designed to distract you from the promise that is about to manifest. The pressure to give up becomes stronger right before the blessing breaks through, because that is when you are nearest to fulfillment. During these battles, God is not absent. He is watching, molding, and strengthening you through every challenge. Opposition forces you to pray deeper, believe harder, and depend on Him more completely. It stretches your capacity and proves your commitment to the calling on your life. You begin to learn that victory is not the absence of struggle, but the mastery of it. You are not defined by what comes against you, but by what you overcome. The heat of adversity reveals the authenticity of your faith, exposing whether you are built on emotion or anchored in conviction. The increased warfare is a divine indicator that you are stepping into territory that was once denied to you. You are crossing boundaries that generations before you could not, and every obstacle you face is proof that you are moving in the right direction. When God is about to release something big, He allows pressure to surround you because pressure produces power. Just as diamonds are formed under intense heat and weight, your destiny is forged in the fire of resistance. You begin to understand that what felt like opposition was actually preparation. What seemed like warfare was training for dominion. The enemies that rise against you only confirm that your influence is expanding, that your promise is near, and that heaven has already declared victory over your battle. There comes a moment in your journey when peace no longer feels peaceful and comfort no longer feels satisfying. A stirring begins deep within your spirit, a restlessness that refuses to be silenced. It is not anxiety, it is awakening. It is the divine signal that God is shifting your season and preparing to birth something new within you. Suddenly, the things that once fulfilled you feel too small. The spaces that once held you begin to feel tight, and your spirit starts reaching for something greater. This inner restlessness is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is about to be born. Before every new beginning, there is a divine dissatisfaction that pushes you out of what is familiar and into what is destined. You begin to notice that your conversations change, your desires evolve, and your heart becomes drawn toward new visions and unexplored territories. The dreams that once seemed impossible start to pull at you with a magnetic force. God uses this inner stirring to prepare you for elevation because He knows that comfort breeds complacency, and complacency can suffocate calling. The unease you feel is heaven's way of telling you that your time in the old season has expired. It is the spiritual labor pain of destiny trying to break through the walls of routine and predictability. You are being stretched, not to destroy you, but to make room for the greatness that is about to emerge. In these moments of divine agitation, you may not understand what's happening. You may feel torn between gratitude for where you are and yearning for where you're going. You sense that there is more, but you cannot yet see what it is. That is how God works. He stirs your soul before He shifts your circumstances. The discomfort becomes the compass that guides you toward your next assignment. You find yourself losing interest in conversations, environments, and opportunities that no longer align with your purpose. People may misinterpret your restlessness as discontent, but you know within yourself that something sacred is unfolding. This inner tension is holy because it separates you from stagnation. It breaks the illusion that you have arrived and reignites your hunger for growth. You may wake up in the middle of the night with visions of the future, feel an unexplainable urge to pray more, or sense a pull towards solitude and reflection. That's not coincidence. It's divine communication. God is quickening your spirit, fine-tuning your discernment, and awakening dormant gifts within you. This restlessness is the birthplace of transformation. The spiritual contractions you feel are preparing you to deliver something powerful, something that will not only change your life, but impact generations to come. What feels like agitation is actually activation. What feels like pressure is purpose announcing itself through the language of your soul. There are times when doors you once walked through with ease suddenly close without warning. Opportunities that once flowed effortlessly begin to dry up, and connections that once felt divinely aligned start to fade away. It can feel confusing, even painful, to watch the things you built begin to dissolve before your eyes. Yet in the kingdom of God, closed doors are never the end. They are transitions. They are divine mechanisms that shift you from comfort to calling. When God is preparing to give you something bigger, He will often allow what is temporary to collapse so that what is eternal can emerge. What feels like loss is often protection, and what seems like rejection is often redirection. You may pray for new opportunities while still holding on to old ones, but God knows that your hands must be emptied before He can fill them again. So He begins to shut doors you would never have closed on your own. He will make certain paths inaccessible because He knows they would lead you away from your destiny. In these moments, your natural mind struggles to understand, but your spirit begins to sense that something greater is unfolding. Every closed door carries a message that says this chapter is complete and a new one is about to begin. God never closes a door to deprive you. He closes it to deliver you into divine timing. Sometimes He closes doors because you have outgrown the environment they lead to. Other times, It's because the people or circumstances connected to that door cannot accompany you into your next season. Closed doors separate you from distractions, delays, and detours that would hinder your destiny. They teach you to discern between what is good and what is God. They force you to develop trust not in what you can see, but in what you believe. Every time a door shuts, faith must rise to take its place. You begin to understand that your journey is not defined by access, but by alignment. The greatest blessings are often hidden behind moments of denial. When you stop fighting the closed doors and start flowing with divine direction, peace begins to replace panic. You start to recognize that endings are actually disguised beginnings. God closes certain opportunities to open supernatural ones that align with your purpose, magnify your impact, and prepare you for greater influence. Every no is clearing space for a divine yes. Every exit is positioning you for entrance into something far beyond what you could imagine. What you perceive as delay is often divine setup, and what you thought was finished is often the foundation for a new start. The door that shuts before you is not punishment, it is prophecy. It speaks of a future so vast that the walls of your past could no longer contain it. So when everything begins to shift, when people walk away, doors close, and restlessness stirs within your spirit, don't shrink back in fear. Lift your eyes and recognize that heaven is moving on your behalf. You are standing in the in-between of what was and what will be, and the turbulence you feel is the sign that transformation is near. God has not forgotten you. He is aligning you. Every delay, every disappointment, every disruption has been part of a divine strategy to position you for what's next. This is your confirmation that the struggle has not been in vain. The tears you cried were watering the soil of your next season. The pain that broke you was shaping the strength that will carry you. The doors that shut were redirecting you toward destiny. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And when the time is right, what God has prepared in secret will be revealed in power. Stay faithful, stay expectant, and stay ready, because what's coming will be bigger, greater, and more glorious than anything you've ever imagined.